Hello and welcome. I am Scarpalock, and this is City of Heroes on the private server Rebirth. We're with Tiger Shrike, our level 14 now. Um, Stalker, we have 34,000 experience, 9,000 to go to get to level 15. Two levels to go to get integration, I guess, and we now have 62,000 information. We still haven't sold our orange salvage. I guess it's just going to sit on the auction house for a while. But we're getting there. You know, we're nowhere near 800,000, but we're getting enough information that by I think 17th level, we're certainly going to have enough to put some dual origin enhancers on our powers. In the meantime, I leveled up. I noticed I was really close to leveling, so I just beat up a couple guys on the street and didn't want to make you guys watch that. And I got the power build up, which is awesome. It's a great power. If you look at the information on it, it will increase our 2 hit by 20% and increase our damage by 80%. And it happens every minute and 12 seconds, so we're going to want to put triple recharges on this and get it down to about 40 seconds, which means we'll be able to use it almost every battle, every other battle. The pattern is going to be build up Assassin's Claw, and that is going to do massive amounts of damage when we have them fully slotted. In the meantime, we are doing a story arc for this seer, where we have to go and deactivate the seer subnet. This is a solo mission. We're doing everything solo anyway, so it doesn't really matter to us, but this is something where you can't bring people into the mission with you. This is another thing that they didn't generally do in the original game, and these guys are all going to be blue to us because we took the mission before we leveled, and the mission is locked to whatever level you take it on. So so it's going to be really easy, which is unfortunate, but you know what, after all the really difficult stuff, I guess I could take a slightly easy... Well, is this one dead? Okay. I guess I could take a slightly easy mission for once. In any case, we're moving along. Things are going well for us. Cutscene. They're living mindlessly. They don't know their former lives. They deserve real life. One where they have a choice. There's a chance to get back. Every single seer in this lab is using their powers to protect the citizens of Pretoria from thwarting plots by destroyers to blowing up skyscrapers to saving children from being caught in the middle of syndicate firefights. It is truly right thing to free them. Is it truly right thing to free them and subject the rest of Pretoria to chaos? We're going to free the seers. So we got more resistance points, I guess. And now we have somebody coming. One test team left. Okay, let's build up an Assassin's Strike. Oh, it didn't hit build up because I'm an idiot. Why is it saying it isn't ready yet? It's recharged. I don't know what's going on with that. I guess we're having a little bit of a bug from the server on whether our powers have recharged or not. The Homecoming server did that to me a couple times too. If you watch the earlier Scrapper videos, I had powers recharged and it was saying they weren't, which is really weird. I am so sick of being mezzed. And there's another set of guys coming. Can we hide now? Yes. Alright, now whether they're gonna know I'm there or not, I don't know. Let's see. Yep, they know I'm here. And that interrupted my attack too. Wow. This is really insane that these guys are this ridiculous, and they're -1 to me. And again, every single blow has a mez component, which is just absurd. You can see, by the way, guys, why blasters And before, like, if you go back to the original game, right, there was no such thing as break free, and you can see why blasters and controllers and other non-scrappers and non-tankers used to get really frustrated because they would be constantly being mezzed, and they hated it. And that's why break free had to be put into the game, because people, it was just driving people nuts. It's one thing if, you know, like say just the lieutenant has mez and you beat him and then you don't have to deal with it, but every single one of these minions has mez. Now, that wasn't true in the original game, right? At low levels anyway, it wasn't true. But when you get to the upper levels, you get things like Devouring Earth that do sleep and stun, and you get things like some of the carnies and doing like psionic attacks to you, and there were several other types of villains that mezzed a lot. The Richti, almost every one of the Richti guns has a mez component. But the thing is, you don't fight the Richti until like 30th level, right? And by then, even though blasters had no mez defense, they had other ways of dealing with it, and it didn't instant kill them to be fighting somebody who had a mez attack. But when you're 14th level or 15th level, it's really hard to deal with it. Alright, so Calvin Scott sent us a message. He wants us to call him. We got some reward merits, so we completed this story arc. It's a one mission story arc. That's one of the other things I'm not happy with, is how short the story arcs are. I don't know. I really feel like they didn't get the what's the word for it? The alchemy right with these story arcs and missions. Alright, so we're done with her. We can't make contact with her. Okay. So now we're going to call Calvin Scott. And he says, there's a man in our main base in Imperial City named Hatchet. He's stared into the face of death so many times that he doesn't even flinch anymore. He's looking for help in moving forward some big operations of ours in Imperial City. And he is looking for people who aren't afraid to get their hands dirty. Hatchet is the next contact in the Crusader story and the Resistance. Crusaders are ruthless members of the Resistance, willing to do whatever it takes. That's not what we're doing. Let's talk to the relations expert and see if she'll give us some story arcs that are not from the Crusader side, because we're not doing the Crusader side with this character. Did we get any enhancements? No. Alright, so we're going to keep going. So one of the interesting things that has nothing really to do with City of Heroes is I'm going to start playing D&D again soon. I haven't played D&D, I haven't actually played D&D in 30-ish years, I think. I started playing D&D, my first role-playing game, I started playing D&D in 1982. And the story on this is, and I told this story in the Scrapper videos that you guys can't watch because I'm banned from posting them now, thanks to the Homecoming server, which is why we're on Rebirth and why we're doing this character. But I started playing D&D. So the way this works is, in 1981, when I was in 6th grade, I had a friend who, for his birthday in April, I believe, got, what is this here? Oh, is this going to be, this is going to be how you do inventions. Okay. So we'll go ahead and do this, and I'll tell that story later. So we have to read the curriculum, and I'll explain how inventions work. So the way this works, I'm not going to read it. The way this works is you get salvage, and we've been selling most of this, but you get salvage. There's all kinds of different things, like the ancient artifact and the volume of the obsidian libran and stuff like that. You also can get recipes like this recipe for accuracy. Now, what happens is with these inventions is they're a little bit better than, say, a dual origin enhancement at this level, and as you go up in levels, they get even better than single origin enhancements. And what happens is you can buy them on the market, or you can get them as drops, and it costs a certain amount of information to craft them, and then you have to have some salvage. So in order to craft this invention accuracy enhancement that would give us a 19% buff to accuracy, if we compare that to, say, a level 13 DO, it's 15%, so it's a little better than that. It's way better than this level 14 8.3% training enhancement, right? We would need, in our inventions, in our salvage inventory, we would need to have a luck charm and a bore sight. If we had those and 7,000 influence, we could craft this uh, training enhancement invention. And when we slot it in, the difference between it, you notice its numbers are blue. The difference between it and these is it never would expire, and we would just permanently have it. And so one of the things a lot of people do is once they get to, say, 25th level and get their 22nd level, start getting 25th level inventions, you can just put inventions in there instead of SOs, and they're about as good as an SO. They're basically like a level -1 SO, and you can just keep them until level 50 if you want. And with my original character, Silver Phoenix, what I did was I started slotting them in as we went, as I found the recipes when they were over level. I like to start on level 30. And then once you're in the 30s, I just started, if I had the influence and I had the salvage for it, I just went ahead and invented things. But with this character, what I'm probably going to do is just single origin. We'll see. At least until level 30 for sure. So anyway, she's going to basically have us talking to other people who are going to tell us about how the invention system works the way I just explained it to you. And so we're going to research salvage, and now this in the book stacks is going to tell us that you get salvage, it drops. There are 3 different kinds. There's green salvage, and there's white salvage and yellow salvage and orange, and that's rarity and that sort of thing. And then we want to collect and swap materials. So now we have to go and collect some salvage, and they're going to give us a free recipe that we can probably make our first invention with. So here are some materials, and here are some materials. And here are some materials. Bumper stickers, buttons. I have to say they do a really good job of decorating these places with lots of clutter and stuff to make it look realistic. Look at all the propaganda posters. That's it? Okay. I guess it doesn't have you invent something. In the Paragon City version of that tutorial, you invent your own. Oh, maybe we got to talk to her. You invent your own enhancement. I would think that they should do that here. I'm pretty sure they do. Alright, so we're going to keep going. Yeah, there's the invention. These are the invention booths. Right? And if you say you want a level 25 accuracy and you don't have it, you can buy the accuracy for 17,000 and then invent it for 34. So here's one of the reasons I don't do it, guys. A regular accuracy level 25 single origin enhancement is about 30k. To buy and invent one is like 51. That's a lot of influence. Now, it's cheaper to do that than to keep buying new SOs at every level, but it's too expensive to do that when you're level 25. You're never going to be able to afford it. So now we're going to learn about recipes from this computer screen. And these are the different recipes. See, they're showing you white, yellow, orange, and purple, common, uncommon, rare, and ultra rare. I actually have a purple recipe on Silver Phoenix. Can't show you that because Homecoming doesn't allow me to videotape things. And now we go to a new contact. This is probably where we're going to create one. Read up on the inventions. And I'm not reading all this stuff, guys, because I can explain it to you more easily than trying to read their narrative. So this is showing the different types of invention enhancements. So what I have here is a regular, what I call an invention trainer, a generic invention enhancement, a general one. But they also have ones that are much more specific, like Luck of the Gambler or Crushing Impact. And these are for specific types of powers like melee attack powers or point blank area effect powers or defense powers or resistance powers. And you can only slot those in, and those are like the more specific ones. They're not the generic ones. And so they're explaining all that. I don't see any need to like really read all this to you guys. Didn't we do this already with the visualization? So this is showing you how the workbench works. You can make costume parts with it and things like that. And now we have the choice. Can I move this so I can read it? So now we have the choice of picking what we want it to give us. Well, I guess we'll take an accuracy. And so now it's given us a second accuracy enhancement. And it's also given us the salvage we need. Remember we needed a bore sight and a luck charm? We now have that. And if we come over here to the invention table, we have these things. So now we don't have this recipe. We could buy this recipe and invent it. And it would cost us 51,000 infamy, right? Or we can just invent this. Now, notice we have 71,000. I think they gave me enough infamy that I could create this, so that we could create it for the mission, because they didn't want people to like be kind of screwed. So let's go ahead and create it. And we've got our first training enhancement. And we can stick that on one of our powers, and of course it's going to go on to Assassin's Claw, because that thing's as good as any Dio will ever be. And now we have a really high chance of hitting with Assassin's Claw, which is nice. And while I'm in this screen, I'm going to go ahead and combine these two. There's no reason not to, because the red one wasn't doing any good, so you may as well. Alright, now we got to go back to this guy, and we've completed the mission, I believe. Oh, now she's going to tell us probably about the auction house, which you guys have already seen. Come on. There's Emperor Cole, that's like evil statesman, right? This dictator statesman. This world's version of statesman. Where is she? Ah, here she is. And we learn about the trading house. Right, and you've already seen this, so I'm not going to bother explaining it. This is showing how trading works. Obviously, I'm not very good at that, so, or we wouldn't have lost so much influence. So we got a couple badges. I'll show you those in a sec. 25. We've got 25 badges, and we got the inventor badge. Anything I want to put on. This appears under your name if you want it. I don't really like any of these, so I'm not going to use any of them. Alright, it looks like we have no choice but to call Message Man and get a message from him. Destroyers or PPD. I guess we'll fight the destroyers. At least we have build-up now. And now we're on the long, slogging march to level 16 to get our integration power. And sometime soon we should be getting another contact, I would think. Yeah, he only will give us... yeah, he's only willing to give us this one Crusader guy, which I don't want. So let's just do this mission, and that'll probably be it for tonight. I still don't have a really good sense of the geography of this city. Again, mostly because I'm down on the street, and I feel like it's much easier to get a sense of that geography up in the air when you're doing super jump or something. So guys, while we do this sort of junk mission, which isn't part of any story arc, and by the way, I'm going to probably do this one I'm going to do this one with you, but I'm probably not going to record any more of the junk missions until I can get another contact. But in any case, we'll do this one for now since we're here and I'm recording. And I'll go ahead and start the story that I was going to tell, which is in 1981. A friend of mine in 6th grade, in April of 81, I believe, if my memory serves, and I believe it does, he got Dungeons & Dragons basic set, the red box, the original red box. He got that for his birthday. And so he came in to school with it, and we were in our 6th grade classroom. And he had, in those days, the game was, the box set had like the rule book, and then it had some other things like a map or whatever, and then it had a module in it, and dice. It had yellow dice that you had to color the numbers in with a crayon. And, excuse me. So, he had the set, and part of the set was to have a module, the Keep on the Borderlands, module B2. And the way these modules worked is they had a cover that would separate from the actual booklet that had the way to run the module, and on the inside of the cover was this blue and white map. And so it was a map that like of the Caves of Chaos, and you know, like on graph paper. I am so sick of being burned by these guys too. And so it was just a small map, you know, like 5 squares per inch or something. And so he has this thing opened out on the desk, and I looked at it and I was like, what is this? And he said, oh, it's Dungeons and Dragons. And I said, what's Dungeons and Dragons? He said, you never heard of Dungeons and Dragons? It's a game. And so I look at this thing that's just really tiny squares, and I said, it's a game. Well, how do you play it? And he started describing, you know, like gelatinous cubes going down the hallway and the party fighting it. And I'm looking at this map with squares that are, you know, really small, like the size of these squares, right? And I said, you know, like, how the heck could you play it? I'm thinking this is a game board. Like, where's the gelatinous cube? Where are the playing pieces? And he said, oh, no, you don't have playing pieces, right? They really weren't miniatures in those days. He said, no, you don't have playing pieces. He said, you just play it in your imagination. And I said, play in your imagination? I thought, that sucks, right? I wanted to see playing pieces. And so that was my first introduction to what Dungeons and Dragons was. I just said, oh, that's kind of crappy, and you know, it's no good if you don't have playing pieces. And you know, I thought it was a board game, and I thought, what a bad board game. There's no board, you know. So I didn't think much of it. Then I got to 7th grade, and this friend of mine, who I still play games with, and I'm going to be playing D&D with, he and I were really good friends, and we used to do lots of stuff together and read comic books together and all that kind of stuff. And I came in here without letting Hyde trigger, didn't I? So the two of us kept hearing about D&D. Like, by the time summer was over and we got back to school, like, a lot of our friends were playing D&D. And so we got interested in it, and we started reading like fantasy books, like The Sword of Shannara and The Lord of the Rings, and we got really into it. And so he has his birthday in November, which is before Christmas, and he got the D&D basic set. And then, he said, "Oh, it's really cool. You should get it so we can play it." And so I asked for Christmas. So in Christmas of 1981, guys, I got the Dungeons and Dragons basic set. And then it took me, I don't know, a week or something to read the rules and try to understand them. And he had already read the rules, and by then he got the expert set for Christmas. He was always like one little step ahead of me. And so he got the expert set. We both had the basic set, and he said, "I'll DM." And so we started playing D&D in January of 1982, and that was how I started playing role-playing games. And we loved it. We had a lot of fun with it. By the next year, we were playing Advanced Dungeons and Dragons with like the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Monster Manual, the hardcovers, and we played a lot of D&D. And then we also liked superheroes. We learned about Champions, the role-playing game, and we started playing that in like 1983. And the rest is history. I've been a role player ever since. I've pretty much one way or another been role playing most of my life ever since. Occasionally there have been periods when I kind of couldn't. But even when I wasn't playing D&D or Champions, I was playing something like Mushes or Muds. I was playing MMOs. One way or another, like this is an MMO, right? One way or another, I've always loved playing role-playing games. So we played throughout college. I played Mushes in graduate school. And then in 2003, when I was actually doing my postdoctoral research, one of my undergraduate assistants was into EverQuest, and he showed me Star Wars Galaxies, like screenshots of Star Wars Galaxies, which was getting ready to launch. And I thought that was really cool, and I love Star Wars, so that was my first MMO, was Star Wars Galaxies. And I played that for a long time. At the same time as I was playing Star Wars Galaxies, my really good friend, who is also the guy that started playing D&D with me, he got me and another guy playing Neverwinter Nights. We were co-oping it, where we would just download modules from the Neverwinter Vault, and the one guy who had the better computer would host, and the two of us would log into his computer, and we would play co-op D&D together, 3rd edition, right, with Neverwinter Nights, and we had a lot of fun with that. And then I convinced them to try Star Wars Galaxies, and then we played Star Wars Galaxies in 2003, and then in early '04, remember this game came out, City of Heroes came out in '04 in like April. In early '04, January or so, those two guys were invited into the very early closed beta. They didn't tell me they had been, because they were saying had to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. But then in March of 2004, I got invited, and now you're going to see, look at that, one shot a lieutenant with build-up. That is awesome. So I got a beta invite in March of 2004, and I started playing City of Heroes then, and I played it for 4 or 5 years on and off, 6 years. And then I stopped playing it in like 2009, something like that, 2010, and I played other MMOs. I played the Saga of Rhizome. I played all kinds of things. I played Lord of the Rings Online. I played Eve Online for a little while. I played Vanguard, Saga of Heroes. I played lots of them. Champions Online. But none of them were my favorites the way this and Star Wars Galaxies were. Those are my two favorites. And this one always hands down the best character designer and hands down the best combat system. I love the way combat works in this game. And in particular, I love the way Scrappers and Stalkers play in this game. So let's see if we can one-shot this lieutenant as well. So that's how I got started in role-playing, and there we go. That's how I got started in role-playing, but I haven't actually played tabletop role-playing in a long time. The last time was probably 1991. That's when I graduated college. It tells you how old I am. Yep, I'm in my 50s, early 50s. Um, so I stopped playing tabletop role playing in early college, and I've basically been doing it online with computers, mostly with MMOs and in persistent worlds. I've been a guild leader. I was a co-leader in City of Heroes. I was a co-leader and then the only leader in Star Wars: The Old Republic. I was an officer in Star Wars Galaxies. I was an officer in Saga of Rhizome. So I've done all of that since '91, but I haven't actually played tabletop, and I haven't game mastered since like 1990. So it's been 30 years, and in the next week or two, I am going to be dungeon mastering for the first time. So I'm pretty excited about it. I'm a little bit nervous that I'm going to get it, that I'm going to screw it up. You know, that it's not going to be. I'm a little worried that it's not going to be, that I'm going to like have the balance off, the combat balance, like that I might make it too hard, um, or too easy. And it's a level one party, and I'm like, there's an online encounter builder. Oh wait, we can use some of this. Hang on. There's an online encounter builder, um, and I've got this like four-man level one party, and like I build the encounter, and I tell it I want to put like three goblins up against them, and it's telling me it's a very hard encounter, and I'm like, seriously? Three goblins against four first levels is a deadly encounter. But you know, first level characters, they don't have a lot of abilities or options, although they have way more than they did when I was playing D&D back in the day, right? A first level wizard could cast literally one spell a day. One. Alright, let's see if we can find some contacts here. We do not know him. Interrogator Kang. Flores. Aaron Walker. I guess we're probably going to have to see if we can just do this mission. I'm really not a crusader, but I guess it's the only choice we're going to have, guys, because no one else is offering me any options. So, I guess I'll try it, but I'm going to do that in the next episode. Until then, I'm Scarperlock, and this has been City of Heroes.